My case against the Virginia Department of Correction consists of failure to treat me and interfering with treatment that I was already getting.
Ophelia was intermittently on hormones until 1995. And then in 1995, the former director of the Virginia Department of Corrections, Dr. Smith, issued a memorandum in which he said, we don't do windows. People with GID are not getting treatment. There will be no treatment for GID. That's nuts. It's an established condition. It's in the DSM, the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual. There are experts in it. There's knowledge about it.
Michael Stokes, using the name Ophelia Delonta, filed a lawsuit on her own without a lawyer, and the Office of the Attorney General of Virginia asked that I get involved, or that this firm get involved, representing the medical defendants in the case. We filed a motion to dismiss. The judge, in essence, agreed that this was not constitutionally mandated treatment, and threw the case out.
That fueled the issue of driving me to do something on my own. I felt that maybe if I could start it, then they would have to finish it. I wanted to get rid of my testicles to stop the hormone, testosterone. At the same time, I feel that they're not supposed to be there anyway. And so that just led me to, at every opportunity that I could get, to cut.
When we first started handling this case in 2000, I went through all of the medical records that we had for Ophelia and pulled out each individual incident where she mutilated her own genitalia. February 22nd, 1996, self-mutilated scrotum with razor blade. May 21st, 1996, 5 lacerations to scrotum, ranging 1/2 inch to 1 inch long. May 21st, 1996, later the same day, self-mutilated scrotum again, lacerations approximately 1/2 inch long. The list of incidents just goes on and on.
There is documented evidence of other personality problems going on with this inmate that strongly suggest that the self-mutilation may be not so much a factor of gender identity disorder as simply manipulative behavior. I want what I want, and this is the way I'm going to get it. You had someone who was a difficult prisoner in a lot of respects outside of gender issues. It's not a foregone conclusion that treatment of gender identity disorder is going to stop the genital self-mutilation that was going on, or that the genital self-mutilation was caused by a lack of treatment.
From the standpoint that I'm operating at with regard to this lawsuit, it truly doesn't make a difference. If the state runs a mental institution for completely wacko inmates, they can't be permitted to mutilate themselves. They can't be permitted to hang themselves or to torture their other inmates. They can't. The Constitution still exists, and the 8th Amendment still says that there'll be no cruel and unusual punishment imposed.
What a transsexual goes through is, first, there's a sense of our identity, and that's the most important thing, and to have our body match what we feel inside. Nothing else is important other than our identity. And it's like, if I can't be who I am, then I'd rather be dead than have to be imprisoned in a body that's not mine.
There was a case I was involved with in Idaho. The inmate continued to try through the appropriate channels to get an appropriate evaluation and treatment for gender dysphoria. It was continually denied time and time again.
I was going through depressions, fits of depression. I'd have my highs and my lows. I'd go into depression, you know, and I'd think about suicide and whatnot.
She began asking for hormones, and repeatedly she was denied treatment. Does not constitute a medical need. Hormones are considered elective.
Linda's very bright. And they had an understanding of what needed to happen, and the first thing was to get them to recognize it as a condition. And then we could start pushing for treatment of the condition. So Linda writes and says, do you recognize transsexualism as a medical condition? The warden of the penitentiary writes, we do not recognize transsexualism as a medical condition, and if I have anything to say about it, we won't.
This is not a medical professional.
Yeah, this is an administrator.
I've been cross-dressing on the street for the last 10 years. I've been out of the closet for like 7 years. They took all that away from me. That was really depressing. To them, it's a lifestyle choice, and they'll be damned if they're going to treat it. I didn't like to look at the thing. I didn't like to feel the thing. I didn't like to wash the thing. The thing just thoroughly disgusted me. I told the shrinks in '98, I says, yeah, you don't treat me, I'm going to cut the shit off. Oh, you're blowing hot air. You know, ain't nobody can cut their shit off. You're just trying to get attention, blah, blah, blah. Fine, you know. March 18th of 2000, I sat down with a razor blade and cut my nuts out.
The inmate ended up being evacuated to a nearby hospital, blood transfusions, ICU treatment, probably cost $50,000 or $60,000 to get that inmate out of the hospital and put back into prison. Still didn't make any treatment plan.
While I was in the hole, the warden and the deputy warden came up to my cell again, and they says, yeah, you know, you're creating quite a sideshow in this place, you know, just shit. Ha, 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 like this, and they had about 12 cops around them, you know, and they was all laughing and whatnot.
They had her expose herself to them so they could all laugh at what she had done. Isn't this odd?
And then I told them, you know, shortly thereafter, I said, you got 365 days to treat me. If you have not treated me in that time, I'm cutting the rest of the shit off. I said, we're not going to treat you.
Maybe you could say this was all some sort of mind game for Linda to get on hormones. The prison mentality is this inmate is trying to manipulate us to get an advantage over us, and we're not going to let them control us. And so, you know, maybe you can do that to the point of the first self-treatment. But then don't you have to go, whoa, wait a minute.
I sat down in my prison cell with a razor blade, no pain medication, no dope, no nothing like that. Because I'm cutting the shit off. I sat down with a razor blade and started cutting. Pushed the call button, the cop comes to my window, he says, Linda, what you want? And I waved at him like this. He opened up the door, and I threw her in the toilet and flushed her. Spent 5 days in the hospital and then took me back out to the prison. But they still denied me hormones.